So I was thinking to myself, what's a way I can get better at Planet Coaster? A way to become more realistic in a sense at the game. And I came up with this idea of trying to create a really super realistic B&M dive coaster. And I haven't really done any dive coasters in the game yet. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to try to get a solid dive coaster, but also to work with the B&M product that Planet Coaster offers. B&M is a completely different style of coaster than other coasters. The track is a box rather than a triangle. So you have to support it differently, and that was one of the big issues that I've been having is I've been struggling with custom supporting a lot. So I thought that I might try to go in and custom support this B&M Hyper all the way through. Sorry, B&M Dive, not B&M Hyper. All the way through, and then just see where that puts me. It has definitely been a challenge so far, and you can see me kind of just struggling like with the supports here. You have to have a bunch of resource photos to just be able to use. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but honestly, the after product looks really good. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the first drop supports came out. I haven't done the rest of the layout, so I don't really know much about how that will look, but I think it'll look good if I continue to do the supports the way I've been doing it. The only thing I notice is that it is a time killer. Like it probably takes longer than that building the actual layout, which is kind of crazy to say, but yeah, it really does. So in this time-lapse video thing, y'all be able to see how I kind of design my coasters. I kind of get fed up with the supporting here a little bit. I'm gonna talk about that more, but in a minute y'all be able to see how I can like get my coasters so smooth and just be able to get the exact shaping that I want. I'll show y'all how I do that in a minute. But right now I'm still struggling with those supports. As you can see, I'm just trial and error, right? That's all that you gotta do, and it takes a lot of resource photos, a lot of just looking at other existing coasters, how they're custom support. Well, how they're supported. All coasters in real life are custom supported. That's how that works. And yeah, so you just gotta look at a bunch of resource photos. And honestly, I think I did an okay job. Normally when I do custom supporting, here's what I do. I make one initial support, and then what I'll do is I'll copy and paste that around and maybe change that support up a little bit. But for the type of layouts I've been making, normally I just have to copy and paste. For example, let's use Remington. I made a wave turn, and all I did was copy and paste the same support on that wave turn across. Now, that was a wooden coaster, but it just kind of shows that I don't really like doing the extra work. And the extra work really does pay off. So, for this B&M dive, I really thought it would be a good idea for me just to try that and see like how that goes. So, I also have been tinkering with the color scheme of this ride. For some reason, it's been like giving me a lot of trouble. I can't figure out the color scheme. I think after watching this back, the color scheme that I have now, which is different than what's on the screen right now, by the way, is actually not the greatest. It's got black track, but then these yellow rails, and I don't really like that. So I think I'm going to stick back to just the black track and then the white supports. There's the yellow rails that I'm talking about. It just doesn't work. At first I thought it might work a little bit, but honestly, it gives it too much of, I think it's Smiler. Is it Smiler Alton Towers? Yeah, Smiler gives it too much of Smiler vibes, and I don't want that. This coaster I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I've been really wanting to get this design down and make an actually decent dive coaster, but also have some really cool steampunk theming to it. So yeah, I'm happy to see where this thing goes. Here's where I'm talking about what I was talking about earlier, how I fixed my layout. So I've already made the layout, right? But I was not happy with the layout. And so what I do is I literally just go in and I use the tools that Planet Coaster gives you, and that's these, I don't know what to call them, they're just kind of the selection tools that you get when you select a piece of track. And honestly, they're really helpful, because you can see here, this 0G roll was, or 0G roll, I wanted it to be a 0G roll first, but then I changed my mind. I thought maybe this should just be like this kind of 360-degree roll, something that maybe you see on Dr. Diabolical's, whatever it's called, at the new dive coaster at Six Flags Fiesta. It's not called a 0G roll, it's more of a slower roll. And for dive coasters, you can't really have that whip that 0G rolls have, because the vehicles are so big, and I think that would just be super unrealistic. I think the laterals were really high too. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make the element higher and taller, but also the banking less extreme. So what I did was I started the banking a lot earlier on the element, and then by the top we were already at 180, and then, you know, on the other end I did do the opposite. And all you have to do is just use the rotation tool for every single piece, but honestly you can get it to where you see it right. Like my eyes start to see that stuff. I can see all the banking and aligning that I want, and it just kind of helps with the shaping of an element, so you don't have to really kind of redo the whole entire element. It really saves a lot of time, while also, you know, saving you, because you don't have to do the entire element, and that is a pain. Sometimes, like I'm doing now, you do have to redo the element. Like this airtime hill, I was just like, no, there's no way I'm gonna be able to use the selection tools. I'm gonna have to change the shaping entirely. Like this hill changes completely to a different size, scale, and shaping. So, you know, sometimes you just have to delete what you've already done. And honestly, I think going back, I'm gonna have to delete the second half of the layout after this airtime hill, just because it is kind of weird. It doesn't flow well. So yeah, I think that's about it for this video. What I do lastly is kind of watch the speed of this airtime hill. That's another thing, you always have to be watching the forces on the coaster to get them more realistic. Always be watching the speed, negative G's, positive G's. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed. There might be a couple other episodes like this in the future, but I will see y'all in the next one, hopefully finishing the layout. I will see you guys. Bye.